I'm so glad you're here. This is a replay of a live training I did inside the OTs for Pelvic Health Facebook group with Lindsey Vestal, and I wanted to make sure that everyone gets access to it. Pelvic health is such an incredibly fulfilling specialty, and it's growing so much. I've been training OT since 2018, and my goal is to have over 10,000 OTs trained by the year 2030. I'm so glad you're here learning about this specialty. I hope that you can join us in the OTs for Pelvic Health Facebook group with me, Lindsey Vestal. I will link to the group below in the show notes and description. Thank you so much. Welcome everyone to our weekly OT Empower Hour. We meet every Thursday, usually at 12 o'clock. Today was 1 o'clock, a slight adjustment. And we have for almost 3 years now. So there's like 150 replays available for you pinned to the top of the page. You can binge. You can not binge, but take them in because they're so much fun. I get to meet so many incredible members of the community, such as my guest today, which is the incredible Weslina Maxey, who has been on an OT Empower Hour before. Weslina is a CODA who is currently bridging to an OTR program, master's, in Texas. She lives in Oklahoma, where she opened her business, Life After Childbirth, with occupational therapy. She actually opened this practice in September 2022, specializing in pelvic floor therapy to women through in-home and telehealth services. And she just recently renovated a clinic space, which I think is in the background, Weslina. Is that right?
Yes, that is.
I love your paint choices. I love the artwork I'm seeing. Fantastic. So I always start off with icebreakers. So let's go there today. And everyone joining us live, we want to hear your answers because it definitely energizes us. And if you're on replay, the same. Please let us know. So my question today is, what is your favorite ice cream flavor, Weslina?
Ooh, there's a triple berry cheesecake at Brahms. I don't know if everybody has Brahms around them, but it's triple berry cheesecake and it's super good.
That sounds incredible. I'm typing that in. I'm not feeling incredibly creative today, obviously, because I'm just putting in anything dairy-free. when we were living overseas in France, that wasn't very available. So since moving back this past summer, I'm like, any flavor, when it says dairy-free, I'm like, sign me up, because I'm just so excited to have the option.
It's crazy.
It is really crazy. So Weslina, our topic today is all about starting a pelvic health business unabashedly with huge momentum. And it is no secret in our community that you have done that. I had the pleasure of supporting you as an OT pioneer, an alumni, and I felt the fire in you then, and it has absolutely continued. It has continued in such a way that I know has really inspired so many people in our community to know what's possible. And it's really fun because this week, your space got renovated. So the timing of our conversation is pretty incredible. And I also have to mention that you literally just came from a community workshop to join me today. So you've got an incredible fire behind you. And we want to know more about that. Will you tell us a little bit about this journey for you?
Yes, of course. So exactly you said, it happened really fast. And I think that goes to show that I'm so passionate about it. So it flowed really well. Like it is hard. I won't say it's not hard. It's a roller coaster, opening your own business and, going into it, not really all the risks, you just don't know what's going to happen. However, it's also not scary because it feels so good. It feels so good getting this out there and talking to people, getting the feedback and all of that. So it started off with a research project in my master's program. And I did it over postpartum and occupational therapy and how occupational therapy can help in the postpartum period. Well, I didn't even know about pelvic floor therapy until I dove deep into that research and found it. And then I found your course, and it just so happened it was opening in, I think it was at the end of July, beginning of August of last year. And started that. And just within like the first week of being in your course, like I knew this is it. This is what I was meant to be. This is what I've already been like passionate about occupational therapy. I mean, most occupational therapists are, they really want to advocate for our field, and that's how I am. But this is just like a whole new level of passion and wanting to advocate, wanting to get my name out, wanting to get word of mouth of what pelvic floor therapy is, how it can help others, and all of that. So I dove right into it. I signed up for my LLC during your course. So I hadn't even finished your course before I was like, okay, I'm opening my own business. And it actually first started with, I started my podcast, which is called Life After Childbirth. And I began that, I think my first episode was at the end of July of last year. And then, in August, I filed for my LLC and my EIN number. It was tricky trying to figure out what to do first. But I had, man, your Facebook group is just full of resources. So, I mean, I tell everybody, if you want to know anything about pelvic floor therapy and OT, go to this Facebook group, because there's so many resources, so many free resources. And it's just, I binge watch the Empower Hours all the time. I've almost, I think, watched all of them now.
I can attest to that because you always comment. I see things.
Sometimes I'm like, oh, have I watched this one? And then I'll get into it and I'm like, oh, I have. And then I see I comment and I'm like, oh, okay. I just wanted to rewatch them. And then I started my first workshop in October. And I remember I just recently looked through my photos and seen a picture of me of that day of having my first workshop. And I actually was very, very nervous. I actually texted a group of my friends that I met at Pre-Mat in New York that I went with Laura, what's her last name?
Rowan.
Yes, Rowan. Sorry. Thank you. So I met them there, and we have a text group going, and I texted them. I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I am so nervous. Like, why did I sign myself up for this? And then once I started talking, it just flows. It just flows out of my mouth. And like, people ask great questions, and then I'm able to answer them. Like, that's awesome. And then people listen to me and want to know more. And so it just goes to show that this is where I'm meant to be. And the more feedback I get and the more I'm able to help people, I realize that.
Yeah.
So, and now here I am.
I'm curious, have there been other areas in your life, Weslina, where you have had this same momentum?
Not like this.
Okay.
No. And that's how I was trying to explain it to my husband, because I mean, I talk about occupational therapy a lot and how I love it. And he knows this and like what I do. And because I work at an inpatient rehab and an acute care, I PRN at both those places. And I love it. I'm not very a pediatric person, but other than that, I love occupational therapy. And he even realizes, like, when I'm talking about it, it was funny. My sister was like, did you think when you were marrying my sister that she would talk about vulvas for the rest of her life?
What was his answer?
He was like, no, not really. And what's even funnier is my two sisters are gay. So I'm really the only straight one, but I'm obsessed with vulvas and talking about the pelvic floor. So
that's awesome. That's fantastic. If you were talking to a fellow OT here in our really supportive group who maybe was struggling with momentum, was sort of felt the passion that you're describing, but there's some hindrance or hesitation to take the action to either walk into their community center and, try to schedule a workshop, or to walk into a clinic and, try to ask for an interview, whatever the case may be, what would you tell them?
a great question. So I would tell them do it scared. Like you said, I just got from a workshop. So I went to a CrossFit workshop. I am not a CrossFit guru. I had to research the language to kind of get to know what language they use, like double unders, hollow rocks, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I could talk to them on their level. So we understood each other. And I was sweating. I was nervous, but I did it. I did it scared. It does get better with time of just doing it. I don't sit in my car as long waiting and stalling. So I just go. But really what I can say is do it scared. You're going to have that little person in the back of your head saying, oh my gosh, no one's listening to me. Oh, no one cares. No, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. You're too much. Your words fall over each other. All you're doing is word vomiting. And that's how I feel a lot of the times, that I'm just talking about pelvic floor, but people are listening. People want to know. They're like, man, you're talking about this with so ease, and I want to know more, but I don't want to ask the questions. I don't even know what to ask. But if the person like me just keeps talking, then usually it makes people feel more comfortable, because they're like, oh, she's so comfortable talking about this. Like when I was in my CrossFit workshop, I had them touch on their sits bones and then move their finger in and touch their pelvic floor muscles. Well, only like half of them did it. But as I was doing it, more people did it as I left my finger there.
Yes.
They're like, okay, we're really doing this. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So as you feel, if you feel confident, if you go in there and you just start talking and you start doing, then they're going to feel confident and feel good about and feel comfortable about talking about these things. So just do it scared.
I wrote that in all caps in our comments, do it scared. I love that, because I have to say that I just got back from speaking at Creighton University at a honor society talk, and I was scared out of my mind. It was the longest live lecture I had given, and it was an incredible honor to be there. And so I have to say that with going live weekly every Thursday for OT and Power Hour, I've run 14 cohorts of OT pioneers. I mean, I do a lot. I have a podcast like you do. We have these moments where we still self-doubt. All of that litany of things you just ran through, same thing that goes through my mind. And I think what can be helpful, and what did center me in my moment, was to go, this is a service that our clients need. And so despite my word vomit, my lack of wondering what if I get a question I can't answer, all of those things that go through our mind, ultimately knowing that the end result is worth every second of it. And if it means one person leaves with more education, a deeper understanding, and then ultimately it would be awesome if they came to see us, right? That seed gets spread, and that doesn't happen unless we're confident in being underconfident. Do it scared, in other words, because I don't know that moment ever arrives where we're like, I've got this. I'm going to walk into the room. I'm 100% confident. It's like we always have that self-doubt Sally going through our brain. And so do it scared means that ultimately we're doing what we were called to do. And what we ultimately want to do is to serve our pelvic health clients. And so getting out of that comfort zone is sometimes that prerequisite.
Yeah, I have a friend. She was one of my guests on my podcast here recently. Her name's Kaya Caraway. She's a women's health coach. And she says, be brave, not perfect. Not everything's going to be perfect, but you can do it. You can be brave and just do it. And I love that, because I think I felt like I had to be perfect. Like my words had to, I stumble a lot sometimes because I start talking so fast, and it's gotten better, especially with the podcast and then doing workshops and stuff. It has gotten better, but I still do it. But everybody does. And that's okay. Like no one even really notices except me. And so you just continue on, and it's like it didn't even happen. And I'm like, oh, no one even mentioned that I stumbled over my words 4 times. But I mean, it was fine.
I love that. Thank you. This is great. I also put that in there. Be brave, not perfect. Maybe when we finish there, when you have a moment, you can credit the quote to the
Yeah,
coach you
yeah.
just mentioned, and maybe link to your podcast too.
Yeah.
So I'd love to talk a little bit more about your business now. So what clients are you currently serving?
So I work with all women, whether they've had a child or not. I did take the pregnancy and postpartum certificate with Sarah Duvall. And but I would say, so I have 6 clients total right now, and 3 of them haven't had a child, and they have painful intercourse or being able to put a tampon in, so vaginismus, stuff like that. So, and then I have one that's pregnant and one that's newly postpartum. So I got to make her a meal and bring it to her, which was really cool. And then so I actually, with that one, I had her as a client while she was pregnant, and we worked together, and then we stopped around, I don't know, I think she was like 34 weeks pregnant, 35 weeks pregnant. And then I found out that she had her baby, I wrote a hand letter and sent it to her. And then from that letter, she reached out to me and she was like, yeah, I would love to go. I want to go ahead and book. So just like those little touches, those little personable touches mean a lot. At first, I kind of felt silly and I was like, she doesn't want to hear from me. Like, and I also felt silly because I didn't send anything with it. Like, I didn't send a gift or anything. It was just a card. So I was like, oh, this is like nothing, but it meant a lot to her.
Yeah.
And then she booked with me. So it was nice in that aspect. And then I was able to bring her a meal. So I plan on keeping that up to to reach out once they have the baby and like congratulate them and check on them, you know.
That's huge. It's exactly what I was doing in my private practice. There's a guide that I had like called caring for your core, back, and pelvic floor, a quick guide, postpartum, and I would just mail it to them, and that was an incredible way to feel cared for and reminded I'm here for you. And whether or not it was something they took advantage of within weeks or years later, it was probably my single biggest referral source before I was able to start meeting like-minded practitioners. So I'd love to hear that that's working for you as well.
Yeah, it really did. And then like the clients that I have that experience vaginismus, like pulling out those nervous system tools that I have learned through the Empower Hours. There was one Empower Hour in particular. It was you and Laura May.
Yeah.
That's the last name, right?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I'm terrible with names. I'm really good with faces. But just so I started with like tapping and rubbing, figuring out what resonated better with her, that particular client. And then humming, stuff like that. And it was really cool because one of the sessions that we had was literally mostly that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so cool that I can bring this out, and it's not all about the movement and stuff, which is great too, but pulling all that out, and she like was like, oh, I didn't even know that I could give myself this feeling of safeness, this feeling of pressure or touch. And so just giving that to a person to pretty much allow, like giving them the permission to do that for themselves is huge. And so I'm loving to be able to give those tools to my client as well.
Yeah, I would say the longer I'm in pelvic health, the more I really start with the nervous system tools. You have that PCES background, which means you have a lot of movement routines in your repertoire. I am a Restore Your Core teacher. So I have that in my background, and, we have all the other tools and experiences that we bring to the table. But I find really starting with that nervous system stuff and safety in the body, for all of our clients, but I would say that I was most experienced with postnatal people, I think is so important. That nervous system sense of safety and self is really the catalyst for physical recovery. And the amount of times that we discovered there actually wasn't much to do with the pelvic floor after we started with the nervous system tools was incredible. And to think, years ago, that was the gold standard. We start with that internal exam. And now to find out that actually, like, that's not the driver, that's just a reactor to an unsafe nervous system is incredible. And I think that's one of the reasons that makes us amazing as OTs in this field is that we stop to consider those things. And even just in this small example that you gave us, right? We know you can offer the movement stuff. We know you can walk in and do breathing. We know that you can have these nervous system tools, and you have this creative ability, Weslina, to look at that client in front of you and to go, what do they need now?
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful. And that doesn't make your job so good, so fun.
Yes, it does. Because I went in thinking we were going to work on a few other things because we want to work on some hip mobility and hip exercises and strengthening. But then she was very emotional and very into her feelings. And so we went that route, and that's what we did that session. And she apologized at the end. She was like, sorry, this wasn't very productive. And I was like, this was productive. So I went over how it was productive. And she was like, oh, okay, that makes sense and stuff. So that's really cool.
That's incredible. So tell us a little bit about the new news this week with your space. What are your goals there? What do you hope to do?
Well, I plan on so I'll still do in-home and telehealth, and then I'll have this as an option. So it was my in-home gym, which it kind of still is. It has a squat rack, a treadmill, and some weights and stuff in it, but it's mostly like my clinic, as you see. But my goal is to start having clients here. That way, for one, like, because with in-home, like how you started, it cut down costs of opening a clinic, right? So then this is another way that I can expand my clientele if they don't feel comfortable in me being in their home, or if they don't want telehealth, then they can come here and get out of their house if they want to.
Yeah.
But I also don't have to add on that cost of a clinic, because ever since I started it, I've been like reaching out to buildings that are renting or leasing and stuff just to see like price range. Yeah. And sometimes I'm just like, I don't ever see myself getting there, but maybe. But like I said, I am in master's program, so I'm about to start field work. So with that being said, I'll be working, 8 to 5 or 6 p.m. during the day. So my goal is to like see clients at 6 p.m. if they're open to it in my clinic, and then on the weekends as well, if they're open to it. But I think
it's a great option. And again, very pragmatic of you in the sense that there's not that cost or that pressure of you going, oh goodness, I need to fill these spaces because that rent is due. And I think you'll notice with time, like when I started renting a space, I had a space in Union Square. I was able to see more clients. So when it got to the place where, my wait list was, over 4 or 5 weeks long, I started renting a space because the amount of people I could see by commuting and traveling to them, even if I was really good at going, I'm only seeing clients on the Upper West Side today, was so different if they could come to me. Right. So I was able to kind of get through that wait list a little bit more. It's got its advantages and disadvantages. I still love my in-home visits. I find them to be, some of the most enriching experiences. I can see so much. Right. But I'm really excited for you to have this third option in addition to the house calls and the telehealth that you can expand into.
Yeah. Speaking of like travel and stuff, there was an Empower Hour that you went over that, or maybe it was a podcast, I can't remember, but talking about doing your West Side on one day. And, and what's funny is I think that same week I had seen a client like an hour away, and then went like an hour and 30 minutes for the next client. And I was like, what am I doing? So yeah, like just those little things that you're like, you want to say yes to everybody, but it's also, you need to be pragmatic and organize that a little bit better. That way you're not traveling more than you're seeing your clients.
Yeah, and I think you're bringing up a really good point, which is sort of like the logic that and the growth that you go through as an entrepreneur of immediately wanting to say yes to every opportunity and then recognizing it could be a disservice, not only to you and potentially your family, but a disservice to the clients because you're seeing less. You're able to give less because of, maybe the hour and 20 minutes of traffic you had to sit in or whatever the case may be. So there definitely is sort of this like triaging that happens and this growth that happens, as you're growing. And some of us learn those things faster than others. It took me a while.
Well, wasn't it actually your virtual assistant that brought it up
Yep.
to you?
Yeah. She's like, what are you doing? You're crazy. I'm like, thank you. I needed someone to tell me that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then another thing, just thinking about growing your business and having somebody to talk to. So like, of course, your Facebook group's great information. I also did a mentorship with Danica, and that was very, very helpful. I was able to get resources from her. I was able to ask her questions. She even did like a evaluation on me just to get a feel of what that feels like. And it was over telehealth. So we did like movement and stuff like that and like
Awesome.
talking. And so I feel like a mentorship is very beneficial when you first get started. Even like I use your Facebook group for questions. Like I could have a mentor again and just ask questions to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely recommend mentorship.
Yeah. Yeah. It's invaluable, I think, at all levels of our career, because the answers are out there and we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We don't really need to kind of sit in that uncertainty or self-doubt. And it's a gift to be able to have a trusted place, and that was my goal in this community. And yeah, with Danica's offerings and other people that are offering mentorship, it's an amazing place to also learn the questions that maybe you haven't been able to ask yet and hear your colleague ask it. And then maybe it's relevant the following week and you're like, yes.
Yes. And then feeling confident, because then I would give her a scenario or something and be like, well, I was thinking to do this. And she's like, yeah, that's great. And then like, there was times that she was like, oh, I'm going to steal that, so it gave me confidence that I knew I was on the right track of what I was thinking when talking with my clients or just talking to family members about stuff and giving them ideas of how to help things.
That's huge. That's huge. Amazing. Weslina, you're such an inspiration for all of us here in this group. So thank you for being such an active, positive, beautiful member of this community. And we just can't wait to keep following you and seeing what's next.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope it, the next few months is kind of going to slow down because of field work, but I'm hoping it skyrockets come December. I'm just going to go at it.
I have no doubt it will.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And we'll see you all same time. Well, noon Eastern Standard Time on Thursday for the next OTM Power Hour. Have a great day. OT Pioneers opens next April 24th through the 28th. If you're interested in joining me, it'd be my pleasure to support you as you begin to learn pelvic health. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.